O Kashyapa, how does the Bodhisattva study the Mahayana Great Nirvana Sutra and meditate on the suffering of death? We say death because it thoroughly burns out and annuls things. O Kashyapa, it is as when a fire burns out everything, except that it cannot exclude the second dhyana. The same is the case with the fire of death. It burns out everything, excepting the Bodhisattva who abides in the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana, because the strength of the Bodhisattva reaches this stage. Also, next, O Kashyapa, if a flood comes, all sinks under the water, excepting the third dhyana, which it cannot make away with. The same is the case with the water of death, which submerges everything except for the Bodhisattva who abides in the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana. Also next, O Kashyapa, a storm blows up, scatters, and destroys everything, excepting the fourth dhyana, which its power cannot reach. The same is the case with the wind of death. It destroys all that one has, except for the Bodhisattva who abides in the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana. Bodhisattva Kashyapa said to the Buddha, "O world-honored one, why is it that the wind cannot blow away, the flood cannot wash away, and the fire burn out the fourth dhyana?" The Buddha said, "This comes from the fact that in the fourth dhyana there does not remain a speck of sin, in or out of it. The first dhyana has sin and illness in it. Within it has enlightened meditation, but outside there is fire. The second dhyana has sin and illness in it. Within there is joy, but outside it has the sufferings of the flood. The third dhyana has sin and illness in it. Within it has asthma, and outside the sufferings from the wind. The fourth dhyana has, within and without, no sin or illness at all. Because of this, no calamity can reach it. The same is the situation with the Bodhisattva Mahasattva. He or she peacefully abides in the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana, and all sins and illness come to an end. Because of this, the king of death cannot reach him or her. Also, next, for example, the Garuda indeed devours all nagas, fish, and all treasures such as gold and silver, except for the diamond. The same with the Garuda of death. It indeed devours and does away with all beings, except for the Bodhisattva Mahasattva who abides in the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana, whom it cannot make away with. Also next, for example, all grass and trees are swept down to the great sea if the volume of water increases in size and if the ravaging increases, except for the bitter willow, since these are soft and pliant. The same is the case with all beings. All follow and get into the sea of death, excepting the Bodhisattva who abides in the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana and whom it cannot do away with. Also next, O Kashyapa, Narayana beats all wrestlers except the great wind. Why? Because of unhinderedness. The same is the case with the Narayana of death. He indeed conquers all beings, except the Bodhisattva who abides in the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana. Why? Because of unhinderedness. Also next, O Kashyapa, there is the person who deceives and feigns friendliness, though entertaining enmity. He always follows others, just as a shadow does its object, and looks for a chance to kill them. But the person to whom enmity is born is wary and stubborn, so that no opportunity for being killed is provided. The same is the case with the enemy of death. It always looks for a chance to kill beings, excepting the Bodhisattva Mahasattva who abides in the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana. Why? Because the Bodhisattva is not indolent. Also, next, Kashyapa, for example, suddenly a great storm arises, carrying storm and rain of adamantine force, by which all medicinal trees, forests, sand, tiles, stones, gold, silver, and beryl get crushed, except for the true treasure of the diamond. The same is the case with the adamantine rain of death. It wholly destroys beings, except for the Bodhisattva of adamantine mind who abides in the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana. Also next, O Kashyapa, it is like the Garuda that devours all Nagas, excepting those who take refuge in the three treasures. The same is the case with the Garuda of death, that truly devours all innumerable beings, except the Bodhisattva who dwells in the three dhyanas. What are the three dhyanas? These are those of the void, of formlessness, and of desirelessness. Also next, O Kashyapa, if one is bitten by a Mara viper, no good charm or medicine of any superior quality can have any power to heal one, except for the charm of Agasti, which indeed cures one. It is the same with a person caught by the poison of death. No medical treatment is of any help, except for the case of the Bodhisattva charm of the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana. Also, next, there is a man who has aroused the anger of a king. But should he present treasures to the king with gentle words, he might well gain the king's pardon. The case is like this. The case of the king of death is not like that. One may offer money or wealth in a gently spoken manner, but no release will ensue. Now, death is a precipice where there is no guarantee of life. The way to it is far. One may walk day and night, and there is no end of walking. The path of gloom hangs on, oppresses one, and there is no light. There is no gate through which one may enter, and there is a place that exists. No place of pain exists, but there is no means of cure. There is nothing that bars the way. Once in, there is no getting out. There is nothing to break, but what meets one's eyes is nothing but what is sorrowful and poisonous. It has no bad color, but people are afraid. It sits close to one, but one cannot know or feel where it is. O Kashyapa, you may know from this and from innumerable and boundless other parables that life and death are great suffering to a person. O Kashyapa, this is how a bodhisattva practices the way by means of the Mahayana Great Nirvana Sutra, and how he or she meditates on death.